All right, welcome to the official day one of the Fit 40 21 day Kickstart. All right, today we're going to be talking about PFC and daily activity, the two big things that we want to master in the next 21 days. Now, when it comes to the tracking, so we know that we are actually getting everything that we need to get. We're not operating in this zone of, I feel like I'm doing the right things. We're actually going to know you got this many servings for this many days so we can actually see, okay, should we be seeing results based on this effort? So how are we going to do that? Okay, first we want to take a look at the habits section. This is going to be on your main page on the bottom left where it says today. You just click that tab and it'll bring you right here. And just opening the app should bring you right here. And you're going to see daily activity, protein, fiber, color. Now, right here in little writing, you'll see 0 out of 3 and 0 out of 1. This just tells you how many we aim for that day. So daily activity for 10 minutes, that's going to be 1 time a day. The protein, fiber, and color is going to be 3 times because we got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or however you break it out. All right. So to mark down every time you get a serving or whenever you do your daily activity, you just give it a click. So let's take protein, for example. You click right here, and then it'll take you to this screen right here where it has the habit up top, and then it has the star in the middle, and we have our plus or minus over here. So all you have to do is click that plus sign, let it know, hey, I got my serving in, and it will fill in a third of the circle. And the goal is fill the circle up completely by the end of the day, and it'll show you over here what that day looks like. Now, the goal is to fill up the circle for as many days in a row as you possibly can, because that'll show you your streak right here of how many days that you absolutely nailed it. Then there's going to be your daily average for how many out of 3 you are averaging. There's going to be your best streak. So if you fall off, you can try and beat your old streak. And there's going to be a percentage of days completed. Now, when it comes to you getting results, we want 80% or better. If we're not getting at least 80% of the habit down, then we can't expect to see any results. So when it comes to daily activity, minimum of 10 minutes. That's it. If you're having the absolute day from hell, but you could squeeze 5 minutes of a walk here, 5 minutes of a walk there. In total, that's at least 10 minutes. Awesome. You nailed it. All right. Everybody has at least 10 minutes somewhere in the day. There's no reason we can't do this. All right. But just so you know, any intentional movement counts. So that could be your workout. Like, let's say you finish your workout, you logged it. Awesome. Just take 2 seconds, go to that daily activity, check it off and say, I did my activity for the day as well. It could be walking, like I just said. It could be stretching, literally anything where you're like, hey, I'm going to do something for me for 10 minutes. All right. Now, PFC. Before we get into it, why the heck are we doing it? Number one is it's simple and effective in any situation. So if you jumped into the Kickstart and you have a vacation coming up, a work event coming up, some family party, you can still do PFC. All right. And along with that, it sets a foundation for calorie and macro tracking. So when we do make that next step, when you decide to go into nutrition mastery after the initial 21-day Kickstart, okay, that's where we work on calories and macros. And this will lay the foundation and make it so simple rather than just throwing you into it like it's it and being like you're in the deep end with no swimmies. All right. We don't want to feel that way. And then last but not least is it's easy to follow when we're weaning off of tracking because we want to keep the end in mind. And for the most part, most people don't want to track every single thing that they're eating for the rest of their lives. And for this reason, we want to master PFC because you can follow this for the rest of your life and it'll keep you in a really good spot, allow you to manage your weight and allow you to live a high quality life. So let's talk about PFC plus the 1 plate rule. So what is the 1 plate rule? It is a flexible option that we could use in any situation along with PFC. So what is it? Basically, you have a standard size plate and the goal is to fill the entire plate up so there's no white space or blank space and there is no stacking food. So that way we're not under or overeating. And when it comes to this method, you're not always going to be in control of food, and that's okay. We want to just achieve the best level that you're capable of achieving. So level 1 is just sticking to 1 standard size plate. So if you want to fill that up with a bunch of foods that are quote unquote bad, even though there is no such thing. All right. If you want to fill it up with a bunch of junk food, that's totally fine as long as we stick to 1 standard size plate. Not ideal, but we have our portions in check somewhat. Okay. Level 2 is if we get some lean protein on there. So if there's some chicken, if there's some fish, and you could toss it on your plate, awesome. Do that. Level 3, if you can get that lean protein and then some veggies like a side salad on there, or some fruit, maybe a fruit salad at the breakfast buffet, something like that, that would be even better. And then level 4, even though it doesn't show it, is getting the full PFC. So we get our protein, we get our veggies, and we're able to get a fibrous source of carbohydrates like some whole wheat bread or something along those lines. All right, so let's talk protein. How much protein are we aiming for? We want to aim for 30 grams minimum per meal, so we get about 90 grams per day. And this is intentionally going after a protein source. When you eat whole foods like fibrous carbs and fruits and vegetables, that's going to add to the protein goal because all whole food has protein in it. So by doing that, we're going to get into the triple digits, which is a really good starting point. And honestly, a lot of doctors are now recommending to patients that, hey, we need at least 100 grams of protein per day. So that's like our baseline. We're going to get to the point where you can handle more, but like I said, we're laying the foundation right now. All right. And to get there, we want to use labels, a food scale, and a tracker just to be sure. So read that label, understand exactly how much you need to get that 30 grams. And if you need to, throw it on the scale if it's not pre-portioned. And if you have any questions as to like, oh, if I put this much down, does that equal 30 grams? Put it in your tracker and it'll let you know. Okay. When I say your tracker, I mean MyFitnessPal or Chronometer. And if you have any questions on that, because that could be a little bit challenging at the beginning, just ask. I'm always happy to help and I'll make it a whole lot simpler. Now, when it comes to protein, one big thing, it must be lean. So what does not count as lean? Nuts, broth, quinoa, granola bars, peanut butter, regular fat dairy, plant-based sources, all these things that you've seen as quote unquote high protein, but they're only high protein with a ton of calories that come with it. All right. So what counts as a lean source? Anything that gets the majority of calories from protein. Things like 90% or higher when it comes to meat, especially like ground meat, like ground beef, ground turkey, ground chicken, things like that. Greek instead of regular yogurt, eggs or egg whites, tofu. Okay. The easiest way to understand what counts as lean, and this will be the method that we want to lean on the most, is the zero method. So pretty much all the zero method is you take whatever grams of protein are in that serving size. So say it shows 10 grams of protein. Add a 0 to 10. What does that get us? 100. So it should be 100 calories or less for that 10 grams of protein. If it's over that many calories, it's not a lean source. If it's under, it is. So for example, let's take an egg. Okay, an egg contains about 6 grams of protein and it's 80 calories. So on its own, an egg is not super lean. Now, because if we add that 0 to the 6 grams, that would be 60, and we have 80. So technically not. But add one egg white to the regular egg, and it's now at 11 grams of protein, and it's 100 calories. So if you add a 0 to that 11, it would need to be 110 calories or less. Now, because it's 100, it is a lean source. All right. So, real quick and simple way. Eggs are a really easy example because you could always beef it up with egg whites, just mix it in and scramble them real easy. But some other simple strategies for more protein are always getting double. So, if you're at Chipotle or something, get double protein if it's chicken or the steak. All right. And if you're at a restaurant, if you are getting a steak, make sure it's a lean cut like a sirloin or a filet, and make sure it's at least 6 ounces. Start each meal thinking, what's the protein? That's always a really good line of thinking to make sure that you have some source of protein on there. Just makes life easier. And when in doubt, have a protein snack on hand because that'll help drive your number up throughout the day as well. All right, fiber. How much are we aiming for? So the recommended daily allowance for fiber is 25 grams for women, 38 grams for men, and the general recommendation is 25 to 35 a day. So for right now, we want at least 5 grams per meal. And that'll put us at the average of what most Americans are at, which is like 13 to 15 grams. But we're going to drive that number up. And I highly recommend that you try to drive that number up while we do this. All right. So use labels, use the food scale, use the tracker, and just be sure we're getting at least 5 grams per meal. So, what counts as fiber? Starches, grains, or add ons? When it comes to color, yes, fruits and veggies are going to have fiber, and that's what's going to add to that fiber goal. But we want to get at least 5 grams from things that are the starches, the grains, and the add ons. So that way, we're probably going to get around 30 grams of fiber without having to really think about it. So, lean into things like potatoes, whole grains, beans and lentils, avocados, nuts, and seeds. So some simple swaps that are going to help get you some more fiber is whole grain bread instead of white bread, whole grain or lentil or red lentil pasta instead of regular, cauliflower pizza crust instead of traditional, or choosing brown rice instead of white rice. And when you do rice, throw some beans in there. All right, some add-ons. Adding nuts to a salad, that's a really good one because they're healthy fats that also come with a lot of fiber. Throwing some avocado on a sandwich or in a bowl. And like I just said, adding beans is a really quick and simple one because beans are loaded. Color. So when it comes to color, the goal is to get at least 3 servings daily, and we need about a fist size. It doesn't have to be super technical on this. It's just let's get some color. And a fist size could be like an apple, a banana, but it could also be about a fist size of salad as well. So as long as it falls under the category of fruit or vegetable, that is color. So some simple strategies to get some more are lettuce and tomato on a sandwich, peppers and onions with some sausage on an omelet, stir fry vegetables, really simple stuff. Doesn't have to be complicated. All right. And some simple swaps would be lettuce wrap instead of a flour wrap, veggies on a pizza, salsa with Mexican dishes, veggies mixed into mashed potatoes like we did when we were younger. It still counts. I still count it for myself, so it'll count for you. All right. Now, what about fats? These are another factor when it comes to nutrition. So, what kind of fats are we aiming for? We want high quality ones like mono and polyunsaturated sources rather than saturated. So, things like olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, things like that. And we want to measure out a serving size that is at or below 100 calories. So, when you're out to dinner, obviously this isn't going to be that feasible because you don't have control of exactly how much they're using. But it's always worth asking if there's a low oil option, or if they cook with oil and butter, asking if they could just do the oil instead of the butter. Now, what about snacks? Because this is a big one that I know a lot of people are locked in on because they seem to graze throughout the day. All right, let's use this 21 days as a challenge to fuel yourself with full meals, especially when it comes to breakfast and lunch, since those are usually the smaller portion ones that leave us hungry, that leave us needing snacks. All right. Because getting away from snacks is one of the simplest way to reduce calorie intake and maintain your weight long term. It's honestly one of the big reasons a lot of people lose weight when they're on vacation, because they're having solid meals. They're going and doing stuff throughout the day. They're not sitting at their office or at home snacking on stuff the whole time they're on vacation, and they wonder why they lose weight when they come home. So let's lean into that. And if you are going to snack, make sure it's after you've fulfilled your PFC for that day. So if you're craving something and you haven't fulfilled your PFC, then look at what you're missing. So if you need a fibrous source, then have something that has fiber in it, like a 100-calorie pack of nuts, since that's an add-on, but you can have that and it would count as fiber. Or color, like if you don't have color, have an apple, have some veggies and hummus. That would count. Just limit it. Like when you have fulfilled your PFC and you want to have like a sweet treat or something extra, make sure to limit it to 100 to 200 calorie serving. It's not, oh, I'm done with my PFC, time to go nuts. It's no, let's have one serving size of something I truly want. But I'll tell you right now, you're going to be so full, you probably won't want it. All right. What about calories? When done correctly, the PFC method will result in consuming about 1,500 calories, give or take. Now, consuming this much protein and fiber for the first time is going to leave you feeling very full. It's going to leave you so full to the point that you may have trouble eating enough calories to maintain or gain weight. This is very common during this time to lose inches and to lose weight because of the protein and fiber being so high. Now, just to give you an example, when we calculate your calories needed for weight loss, when we transition into nutrition mastery, if your goal is to lose weight, It'll be different if your goal is performance or muscle gain or anything. But when it comes to weight loss, we go with your BMR plus 200. So when it comes to a 40-year-old woman who's 5'5", 160 pounds, their BMR would be roughly 1,400 calories. So we give that extra 200, which gives us 1,400 to 1,600 calories daily. And guess what that is right smack in the middle? About 1,500 calories. Okay. So you will be in a position where, very worst case scenario, you maintain your weight, but most likely you're going to lose weight. And if you don't lose any weight, you're most likely going to lose a lot of inches as well. All right. So here's some random tips that make the whole process a whole lot easier. Number one is limit or eliminate consuming liquid calories. So juices, really high calorie caffeine drinks in the morning, like lattes and things like that, like your Starbucks order that somehow is 500 calories. Let's try and bring that down. Pre-planning your meals. So it could be a really good idea to get into the habit of labeling what days are going to have certain things, especially if you're cooking for a family. So everybody knows what's on the menu and there's a lot less complaining like, oh, I want this instead. It's like, no, Monday is this, Tuesday is this, Wednesday is this. And that tends to help. And I've seen clients really work that in a positive way. Like Taco Tuesday is a really easy example. It's like, okay, we got tacos today. Or you could just say it's a Mexican cuisine that day. And then last but not least is just don't miss twice. That's one of the core values of Fit 40 is don't miss twice. So if you have an off day, it's totally fine. Brush yourself off, come back the next day and get back on the plan. It's not about being perfect. It's about reducing that bounce back time to almost nothing. Those are the people that see success, not the ones that are quote unquote perfect. All right. And everything that we just covered is located on the PFC cheat sheet. So you can locate that in the on-demand section right down here where that play button is. And then you click client resources right up on the top left. And then it'll be in that initial 5 resources that you see. But remember, if you hit view more, there's a bunch more there that you could check out down that'll fill in. But the PFC cheat sheet is going to show you a bunch of different ideas when it comes to protein sources, fiber, and color sources. And you should be good to go. Now, like I said, if you have any questions on anything that I covered, always feel free to reach out. Abuse the heck out of that inbox button. Okay, that button right down here, smack in the middle, that messenger between you and me. Fire away. Ask as many questions as your heart desires. I'm here for you. All right. So that's it for today. And I'll see you next week for the next lesson.